Welcome back to the deep dive. All right, today we're cutting through the noise with a really specific mission for you, the Australian business owner and C-level executive listening in. I'm Lex.
And I'm Vera. We're from the C9 Podcast Show, and we are diving deep into the source material you've shared with us. We're really trying to get to grips with one core question.
How do you actually build a profitable, scalable tech strategy in, say, 2026? Especially when, the traditional pipeline for developers seems to be, well, collapsing.
That's exactly it. That's the critical mission today. We're looking at sources that show AI isn't just disrupting recruitment, it's demanding a total rethink of developer skills.
And what a strategic tech partnership needs to look like now.
Absolutely. And this context is vital because, look, the Australian tech sector is booming, right? It's projected to hit $867 billion in 2025.
Huge numbers.
Massive, and 8.7% annual growth. But that growth itself is creating these intense bottlenecks.
Right. And those bottlenecks are hitting executives where it hurts. Your sources, they lay out the pain pretty clearly, don't they?
They do. Things like missing growth targets because legacy systems are basically fighting against any innovation.
Yeah, holding you back.
Exactly. Operational costs are too high. And meanwhile, your competitors, they're already sprinting ahead using AI-powered features.
So we're really talking about the difference between leading the market and just struggling to keep the lights on.
Pretty much. And a big part of the root cause here is a severe skill shortage, particularly in those cutting-edge areas like AML and advanced cybersecurity.
Okay, so let's start right there, where the disruption feels most acute. This idea of the entry-level developer role just disappearing.
Well, maybe not disappearing entirely, but definitely shrinking and changing. We've all heard about coding assistants.
Sure.
But the real impact is how they're automating routine tasks. Historically, junior developers spent their first year debugging basic stuff, writing simple functions, handling repetitive scripts.
The grunt work, essentially.
The grunt work, exactly. Now, advanced coding tools, large language models, they do that faster and often, let's be honest, more accurately.
Okay.
The sources we looked at mentioned the Australian Computer Society is already seeing firms hire fewer entry-level engineers specifically because AI is handling the bulk of those foundational tasks.
Wait, hang on. So if AI is doing that initial work, what does the new developer pipeline even look like? Are we just creating an even worse skill shortage further up the chain?
That is the core tension, isn't it? The Korn Ferry Institute data we examined, it specifically highlights a 20% drop in employment for recent software graduates.
20%? That's significant.
It's not just a blip. It feels like a structural change. And the consensus, according to LinkedIn data, among 69% of Australian executives, is that AI will absorb that tedious entry-level work.
Which means, well, it means the only path for new talent is immediate specialization.
Yeah.
You can't just be a coder anymore.
Precisely. You have to be an AI integrator or a robust system architect or a security expert practically from day one.
So the projected growth, we hear about like 17% software engineering roles by 2033.
That growth is almost entirely concentrated in those higher value areas. AI integration roles that really harness data for actual profitability.
Okay, so for you, the executive listening, this means longer hiring timelines.
Longer hiring timelines, definitely. And the salaries for those few specialists, they become massively inflated. That traditional, relatively cheap pipeline of junior talent is drying up. It forces a real strategic skill scramble.
Right. Speaking of scrambles, this sets the stage perfectly for that massive trap detailed in our materials. When executives realize they need specialized AI skills, like now, and they can't find or afford them.
They often fall into what the sources brilliantly call vibes coding.
It's a great term. Tell us about it. What is vibes coding?
It's a slightly terrifying term, actually. It describes this rush to use no-code platforms' generative AI tools, often led by, let's call them AI cowboys.
Okay.
Or maybe fast freelancers who promise the world. They build systems based on vague, high-level prompts, just the vibe of what you want. And the big selling point is always speed and cost savings up front.
Sounds fast, maybe even tempting. But for an executive who actually cares about compliance, stability, scalability, what's the real tangible risk here?
The risk is total brittleness. These solutions, they often lack rigorous security standards. They absolutely do not scale reliably, and they break easily under real business load. The sources point out that AI-generated code, especially when it lacks expert human review and proper testing, Well, it frequently introduces critical failures once it's in a production environment.
So you save a bit of money and maybe a few weeks initially,
And BEB.
but you're essentially buying yourself costly rewrites down the line, major system downtime, lost revenue, and you're opening your company up to serious security vulnerabilities later on. That sounds like a terrible trade-off.
It is a terrible trade-off, and this is why you hear industry leaders, people like Andrew Dang, being really adamant about this. Yes, AI boosts code and productivity. The speed gains are real. But the fundamentals, things like robust system architecture, rigorous testing, human judgment, they remain completely non-negotiable. You simply cannot vibe code your way to an enterprise-grade, scalable, secure system. It doesn't work.
Okay, so let's pivot from the problem to the solution. How do we avoid getting trapped by these brittle, vibes-coded systems? The source material is incredibly clear on the critical first step.
Yes, it is. Skipping the discovery call is flagged as possibly the worst decision an executive can make in this situation.
Right. It's like asking a surgeon to operate without even looking at the x-rays, isn't it?
Exactly that, skipping discovery. It basically guarantees misaligned expectations. It guarantees wasted budget, fatal scope creep. It's the essential step for turning that initial uncertainty into a measurable, profitable strategy.
And the sources suggest that the most successful partnerships, they don't just have a casual chat. They follow a really structured approach to discovery.
Absolutely. It's a phased roadmap, and it's designed to establish ROI right from the beginning.
So walk us through that. What does a good discovery process look like?
Okay, so the first phase, maybe 10-15 minutes, is what the sources call initial alignment. Here, the focus is purely on listening, understanding the specific frustrations. Maybe it's legacy systems, tech gaps hindering growth.
Just hearing them out.
Precisely. It's where the potential partner needs to earn trust, and simply by understanding the client's world.
Okay, makes sense. Then what?
Then you move into the strategic core, the deep dive. This is longer, maybe 20-30 minutes. And crucially, this isn't about pitching solutions yet.
Right.
It's about exploring the triggers. What's really motivating this change? Is it high operational costs? A new competitive threat? Identifying the barriers? Maybe mistrust of previous vendors? And exploring key decision points like technology stack choices that support long-term goals.
So really getting under the hood of the business need.
Exactly. And that deep understanding then allows for the third phase, timeline mapping, maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
This is where you outline a phased roadmap. And the key here is targeting quick wins first. The goal should be clear. Launch an MVP, a minimum viable product, in weeks, not months.
So you get something tangible quickly.
Yes, something that immediately provides efficiency gains. The sources actually cite a potential 15% boost just from smart AI integrations in that very first phase.
And that's the beautiful part, isn't it? For the executive, those immediate efficiency gains, the cost savings from phase one,
Yeah.
you can then leverage those savings to fund the bigger future phases of improvement.
It guarantees a return on investment early on. It builds momentum and trust. And then the final step, just 5 minutes or so, is outlining tailored next steps.
Right.
Like options for flexible staff augmentation, perhaps, but crucially, without any immediate sales pressure. The whole structured process, done right, saves months of potential delays and ensures the project's foundation is rock solid.
Okay, that structure makes a lot of sense. And it leads us directly into strategic partnering. Because if we've established the market's too specialized for single hires now, and it's too risky for just generic freelancers or these AI cowboys, then you, as an executive, need a partner with a fundamentally different way of operating.
Yes, we have to move beyond simple outsourcing models. What executives really need now is a risk mitigation strategy.
Okay.
And the blended hybrid model that was outlined in the sources, it seems to achieve this perfectly. It paired onshore experts, people who understand the strategic oversight needed, compliance, the local Australian business context,
Right, good view on.
with offshore talent for the highly cost-effective execution.
So it directly tackles those two massive pain points we talked about, the skill shortage and cost control.
Exactly. We're talking about achieving potentially the same high quality, but the sources suggest at significantly lower costs, maybe up to 40% lower.
40% is a big number.
It is. And importantly, this model offers key differentiators that combat that fear many executives have: vendor lock-in.
How so?
Well, first, knowledge transfer has to be paramount. A good partner should be actively empowering your existing team, providing proper documentation, upskilling your people, ensuring you ultimately own the technology and can maintain it independently if you choose to.
Okay, that's critical. Avoid being held hostage later.
Definitely. And second, it's about having access to a deep bench of multiple resources. Think about it. You might need a quick burst of AI integration expertise for one phase,
Right.
and then suddenly realize your new system needs very specific full stack or database integration skills for the next. A good partner gives you immediate access to those specialists.
Which a single hire or even a small team could never provide. That flexibility must be huge for Australian businesses struggling to find specialists locally.
It is, and for those businesses, this model opens up flexible staff augmentation options. Executives can use things like monthly contracts for short-term, high-impact projects, maybe a quick AI integration, or perhaps more strategically for bigger initiatives, opt for minimum lock-in contracts, typically 3 to 6 months.
Now, why is that slightly longer lock-in, say 3 to 6 months, potentially more beneficial for an executive than just a rolling monthly contract?
Yeah.
Seems less flexible on the surface.
It seems less flexible, but it delivers stability and better ROI. That slightly longer commitment allows for seamless onboarding of the partner's resources into your team.
Yeah, okay.
It provides project stability, and crucially, it allows enough time for that vital knowledge transfer to actually happen effectively. It fosters a genuine partnership, making measurable ROI far more achievable. Plus, it significantly reduces the turnover risks and the associated costs you get with constantly rotating short-term contractors.
Right. The hidden costs of churn. Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk hard finance, because this is where so many tech projects seem to fail before a single line of code is even written. We need to really expose the danger of these indicative pricing proposals.
Yes, this is possibly the most crucial financial insight from the material for executives. Indicative pricing is fast, it's rough, and it's designed to give you a quick ballpark estimate without the necessary depth that only comes from proper discovery.
So it's based on assumptions.
Pure assumptions.
Mm.
And those assumptions inevitably lead to massive budget overruns and missed deadlines down the track.
And the math itself can be brutal, right? Tell us how indicative pricing actually inflates the cost, often unnecessarily.
It's what I call the rounding trap. Indicative pricing typically rounds effort up to the nearest arbitrary unit, maybe the nearest half day, the nearest full day, sometimes even the nearest week.
Okay.
So a project phase that realistically requires, say, 5.5 days of specialized work, it might just get quoted as a flat 7-day effort in an indicative proposal.
Right. And that rounding alone inflates the cost. How much did the sources say? Potentially by 27%.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
27% right off the bat, just from rounding.
Wow. Okay. For an executive managing quarterly budgets, meeting predictable financial metrics, a potential 27% inflation across all your technical projects, that's catastrophic.
It is. It introduces a level of financial uncertainty that completely undermines accountability and planning.
So what's the alternative?
That's why the sources strongly advocate for discovery-based pricing, because you've done the detailed discovery first. The pricing can drill down to the nearest hour for absolute precision. Let's use that specific financial example cited in the material.
Okay, yeah, let's make it concrete. An AI integration project needs exactly 42 hours of work.
Right. Indicative pricing ignores that nuance. It might just call it about a week, slap on a flat charge, say $10,000.
Okay.
But post-discovery pricing, having pinpointed that it's exactly 42 hours, maybe at a precise rate of $200 per hour, that results in a precise verifiable cost of $8,400.
A clear saving of $1,600 on just one relatively small task.
Exactly. Now, multiply that kind of precision across an entire year's worth of development projects. The savings become truly transformative for the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the final implication here is crystal clear. As an executive, you really must insist on that detailed discovery before you accept any pricing. It's the only way to guarantee that every dollar you invest aligns directly with your firm's profitability and scaling goals.
And it ensures those funds you save from phase one, using that phased approach we discussed, are real savings, not just figures based on a rounded-up, indicative guess.
Precisely. It builds financial predictability back into tech development.
So let's pull this all together then. What does this really mean for you, the listener? AI is clearly demanding a fundamental shift. A shift in how Australian executives staff their tech teams, how they partner, and how they execute projects.
Yeah, the old entry-level pipeline is vanishing, or at least shrinking dramatically. That's creating a scramble for scarce, costly specialists. And that pressure, unfortunately, is pushing some firms towards the risky, brittle world of vibes coding. The source material suggests AI is flattening hierarchy as it is speeding up certain coding tasks, but that fundamental need for robust system architecture, for rigorous testing, for human judgment, that seems more vital than ever.
So the final thought for you to consider is this. In this understandable rush for AI games, are you prioritizing cheap speed right now?
Or are you prioritizing long-term maintainability, security, scalability, and ultimately financial predictability later on? It's a critical strategic choice.
Absolutely. Look, if you're ready to start grappling with those legacy systems, if you want to start building a profitable, scalable, and secure tech foundation, moving beyond the risks we've just spent time discussing, you really do need a trustworthy strategic partner.
Mm-hmm. We encourage you to reach out to C9. They're known as Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
It's about turning those daunting tech challenges into genuine, measurable business opportunities. And that starts with getting the strategy right first.
Absolutely.
So contact C9 for a no-obligation discovery call. You can find them at www.c9.com.au. That's c9.com.com/photoway.aco.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today. We genuinely hope this knowledge helps you navigate the changes ahead.
Yeah, and we really want this information to spread among Australian business leaders who need it. So please do remember to click that follow button on whatever platform you're using.
And please share this deep dive with colleagues or contacts who you think could benefit from this crucial information.
Thanks again for listening.